So I'm laying in bed Thursday night. I tell my wife this story and she goes, so you're not going to go up there? But the way she said it was like, that's not like the man that I married. I will buy that deal off your hands. It's a horrible deal, by the way. She goes, no, I love my job. And I'm like, so why would you convince yourself that you should be quitting? She goes, because I saw a YouTube video or this. I'm like, no.
It's been a stamp of, okay, this is someone I can give them the address. They can go get pictures. I can trust that they're not going to go behind my back. And that to me is the hardest and best thing to come out of a community, is that stamp of trust.
If somebody only has ever had a 9-to-5 job and they come to you and go, I want to partner with you in your wholesale business, I'm going to tell you the biggest challenge you're going to run into is.
Today, I am super excited to introduce you guys to Pace Morby, who, if you live under a rock and you haven't heard about Sub2, which is arguably the largest and most collaborative real estate education community that is out there right now, and it has taken the nation by the storm. Pace, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Toddy La, good to see you. Your whole family calls you Toddy. Everybody calls you Toddy, but your actual full name, I love it, it means she is lucky, right?
Yep, she's lucky.
I love that. Thanks for having me.
And I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have you here. Super excited about this. I have known about you forever, and I'm sure most of the people watching this will know exactly who you are. We are a niche within a niche when we're talking about wholesaling real estate. How did you conceive of the idea of Sub2? I know I'm wondering, I'm sure a lot of people wondering, take us back to like the mindset, the mental space you were in when you thought of Sub2, and did you think it was going to be as big as it is now?
Oh, you're talking about the community. So yeah, I was forced to do Sub2 seller finance, creative finance deals back. Been doing them for 9 years. As of today, it's about 9 years. And it wasn't until about 5.5 years ago that I was forced to do only creative finance deals. And what I mean by that is I had 2 businesses being ran at the same time: my wholesale fix and flip and buy and hold business, my real estate business. And I was doing about 10 deals a month with my wife and I, just me and her. And then I also had a big construction company of about 200 employees. And I was working for Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, big companies like that. And I was doing all their turns, their rental turns. And I had a client, one of my big clients filed bankruptcy, and I lost like everything. I lost everything. I was pouring my real estate investment money, like I was making money in wholesale and fixing and flipping. I was pouring it into this guy's business thinking, hey, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to help this guy build his business. He's going to be one of my biggest customers. I was basically being his bank and his contractor. And when he filed bankruptcy, this was about 65 months ago. So about a little over 5 years ago, he files bankruptcy. I had to sell all 43 of my Sub2 and seller finance rental portfolio, all 43 houses. I had to sell them in one. I called Jamil and I go, Jamil, I have money in my construction company. I have to pay payroll. I have all these things I have to pay for. I need like $1 million right now. So I had to sell my personal home. I had to sell all my rentals, extract all the equity out of those, and pay my payroll, take care of my guys. But it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I think the universe just told me I shouldn't have been in construction. I should have been doing exactly what I'm doing today. And the universe was like, you idiot, I've been sending you signals the whole time. And finally, the universe just comes and says, I'm going to cause this guy to file bankruptcy, and you're going to lose everything because he files bankruptcy. He owed me a lot of money. And with that $1 million, I built my way out of construction, and I started literally from zero. That $1 million almost to the dollar is what it took for me to get out of construction, get out of everything I was doing, and just double down on my real estate business. So that was 5 years ago. And I had nothing. I had nothing other than my ability to go out and find deals. And so that means I didn't have nothing. I had everything. My ability to have options to go out and do deals. And I was like, if I was going to have to go build a portfolio of 100 houses all over again and get back to where I was, what strategy would I use? And I'm like, it's not cash. I'm going straight creative. And I just went so hard on creative for about 1.5 years, to the point where everybody, this is about now almost, like I said, 6 years ago, everybody started calling me the Sub2 guy, the Sub2 guy, the Sub2 guy. Because everybody here in town, I would call all the wholesalers and go, give me all your trash leads. I want all your bad leads, your agents. And it was just me cranking. And I then do a deal where the seller, his name is Dave Byarski, And I do this deal, 2720 North Sterling Avenue. And the seller sends me a text at 1 o'clock in the morning, thanking me for solving the problem with creative finance that his agent couldn't solve 6 months prior. And my reply to his text message was, "Isn't it amazing what creative finance can do?" That was my text back. He replies back to me and he says, Sub2, and he throws up the Sub2 logo, the logo that we all have for in our community today, came from a seller. And he just, instead of writing Sub2 TO, he's a seller. He doesn't know it's subject to. He doesn't know Sub2 is short for subject to. He thought Sub2 was like the number
The
two.
number
So
two.
he threw up the peace emoji, and I was like, that's it. That's the freaking thing that we're going to put as our logo. Now, that was 2018. I was started wearing this logo. I started letting people know, like, I am the guy that is doing creative finance. Send me all your bad stuff. It was my way of marketing to all the agents and wholesalers here, all the meetups, that I'm the guy that you should send all your bad leads to. Well, I get a lead from my own lead generation. This is now 2019. And I get a lead from a direct mail campaign.
Okay.
And we send out direct mail to a guy that lives in Colorado, and he receives it, calls us up. The seller was belligerent to my acquisition team. He was like, "I'm not talking to you if you don't own the company. Show me that you actually own the company. Like, I'm a principal of my real estate portfolio. I want to talk to the principal, whoever is buying this, and I want to know his name is on the LLC." My acquisition team's like, "What the heck?" So they obviously escalate it to me. I get on the phone with the guy. I strike a price, and then I go, "Great, I'll send you over the contract." He's like, "No, no, no, you're not sending me over anything. You're going to meet me at my damn house, and we're going to do business eyeball to eyeball." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll send my mobile notary. Like, if you need somebody to meet you." And he's like, "No, is the mobile notary buying my house from me?" I'm like,
Wow.
"No." He's like, "Then I'm not meeting your stupid mobile notary. Either you get your ass to my house or we're not doing the deal." I'm like, "You live 2.5 hours outside of Denver. I'd have to fly to Denver, rent a car, drive 2.5 hours to get to your freaking house." Well, I can make this story very long, but basically, I went on a forum because there was no community at the time. Now, other real estate educators are trying to call their real estate mentorships a community. They're not a community. They're not people that are collaborating and helping each other out like what we have in Sub2. But this is where the idea of Sub2 came from, is that I went to look for help in the industry, right? And you would think it should be pretty easy. It's 2019. Like, there's technology, there's websites, there's forums, there's places to go. And I made a post saying, "Hey, will somebody do a JV with me, a joint venture with me on this deal, and go meet the seller? It'll be a temporary partnership." Well, I just got ridiculed, made fun of. People are like, "Oh, you're an idiot. Just fly up there," or "You should have your license, you stupid wholesaler," like that kind of crap. And this is the biggest forum in our space still to this day, by the way. So, and it, it has new ownership now. So I could probably tell you the name of the forum is Bigger Pockets. I went on Bigger Pockets, and I had a guy named Steve that night sends me a message. This is now Wednesday night. The seller gave me till Friday afternoon to meet him in person, or else he was going to sign with somebody else. I get a call from a guy named Steve at 6 p.m. Wednesday night saying, "Hey, I'll go to the seller's house and I'll meet with the seller. Let's JV." So him and I sign a JV agreement. Next thing you know, I get a call from the seller like Thursday afternoon, not from Steve, the guy who's supposed to be my partner. And I can't get a hold of Steve now. Steve's blocked my phone number, right? Welcome to business.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you
Yep.
don't have a community and you don't have a space where people can operate with each other. And actually, if somebody backstabs the other person, they get kicked out of the community. That's what we really needed, but that didn't exist. So Steve blocks me. I get a call from the seller. The seller calls me and says, "Hey, just so you know, your buddy Steve came to me and he printed out what you posted on Bigger Pockets.
Wow.
And he showed me that you are not actually partners. And he says, but I like you. And I'm a man of my word. I'm going to give you until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to still get your butt up to my house." So I look at the flights and I'm like, there's no flights to get up there. I'm like, I had a little bit of a moment of being a little bitch. And I was like, I'm not going to go up there. This is stupid. We're probably only going to make $7,000 to $12,000. It's just not worth the time and energy. The only way I'm going to get up there is charter a private flight. And I'm not going to do that. It would cost more money than I'd make on the deal.
Right.
So I'm laying in bed Thursday night and I tell my wife this story and she goes, "So you're not going to go up there?" But the way she said it was like, that's not like the man I love. That's not like the man that I married, the man that like doesn't give up, the guy that goes and gets the thing done. And I'm laying there, and then like 1 o'clock in the morning, I wake up with anxiety of like, that's right. I'm not a bitch. And I went outside, I got in my Toyota Prius, and I drove 16 hours to this guy's house, and I
No
made it by 5
way.
PM. Yep.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just got in my Prius. Actually, I just gave that Prius away to Larry Parsons in the community. I don't know if you saw that, but I gave it
I
away
did
to one
you
of the
just gave
students in
away
Sub2.
Prius.
Yeah, I just gave it away to like I go, this car meant so much to me, and it's where I dreamed about this community. So here's what happened. I drive up to the house, I get the contract signed. There's a whole bunch of story with that, but I'll keep this short. What ends up happening is get the contract signed. The guy is like, wow, you did it. This is amazing. I go out to my car because I got to now drive 16 hours back home. And life has changed so much since then because anytime I go to a city now, right? If I go to a city, I speak on stage, I do something, I'm always going, all right, let's do a meetup. Let's go to dinner together. And it's like all our Sub2 community all converges in one place. We all hang out. And I see other students do the same thing. They're like, I'm in Arizona. Who can hang out? Hey, I'm in Florida. Who can hang out? And it's just this amazing family. I didn't have that. So I just knew like I had to go from that guy's house and drive my butt home. And I just, I have a new baby. I have all this stuff going on in my life. And this is also at the time when I was still going on a lot of the appointments 5 years ago for my wholesale business. I would actually go and visit the houses and do the stuff. So I'm getting in my car. I'm about to drive away, and here comes this truck speeding down the dirt road, billowing dust everywhere behind him, just coming down. Like I'm thinking it's Steve. Like I'm thinking Steve is going to come and freaking knock me out because now I just got the deal done. Right? It's not Steve. It's the son of the seller. And the
Oh,
son
wow.
of the seller gets out of his car, runs up to me like I thought he was going to beat my ass. He comes up, puts his hand out, and he goes, "Are you Paige Morby? I want to shake your hand." I'm like, "What the freak?" And he says, "My dad told me the story about Steve. And I told my dad that you would not make it up here, that you were going to be a sissy and you weren't going to make it up here. And my dad told me that you were driving up here. He texted me about 15 minutes ago that you made it to the house and he's signing the contract. And I had to come and shake your hand."
Oh, wow.
I was like, damn. And I was feeling great. In fact, when I started driving home after that, I was like, F Steve, F Steve, F Steve. But then what I did is that whole entire drive, that 16-hour drive home, I was voice memoing myself. Like I was texting myself voice memos of what a real estate community should be like. And I concocted this vision of building a nationwide network that no matter where I went, no matter where I needed a deal, no matter where I needed help, no matter what it was that I had going on, cash deal, creative deal, fix and flip, burr strategy, did not matter. I could tap into my nationwide community of people that have the same go giver mentality. And if they didn't, I would have the power to kick their ass out. And that was the beginning. And I didn't know where to start, what to do. I didn't want to be a coach. I didn't want to do any of this stuff. The first thing I did is I got home after, notes and notes and notes. I took all my voice memos and I filled it up with a yellow legal pad. I whiteboarded it out and then I went to work. And what I did is I started doing ride-alongs and I would have people come meet me in my Prius. I had like 3,000 followers at the time. Like now, we have millions of followers now, but I had 3,000 followers on Instagram and I would do ride-alongs with people and take them on appointments and do this and do that and do this and do that. And it got so big, people started flying from Portugal and Spain and Brazil and other places because they're like, I can't believe this guy is actually just taking people around and showing them how this business works. And then one day it got so big that I was like, I better order a taco truck. This is getting insane. We had 300 people in my parking lot one day.
Oh my
This is
god.
now, end of 2019, somewhere like beginning of 2019. It was just getting out of control. And I started speaking on stages. Jamil and I would travel the world, and we had this whole thing called Pace and Jamil Do America, where we just said collaboration over competition. And we just preached it for a year around the country. And I probably spent 180 grand, I think it was the number, on
Wow.
flights, hotels, just speaking for free, doing nothing for free to just spread the gospel of collaboration. And dude, we just got caught fire. And then I go, well, this is getting problematic. My DMs are blowing up. This is problematic. How do I do this? So I started a free Facebook group. And that free Facebook group blew up. 5,000 people joined in like a week. And I'm like, this is crazy, dude. And still to this day, every week, 2,000 people join that Facebook group every week. But what I learned in that is that people pay attention to what they pay for. What I also learned is that the higher the barrier, the higher quality the human being is.
Hmm.
And so I said, if I'm going to have a community, I got to make sure there's a barrier fee to get people into this community. It's a one-time fee for the rest of their life. And so that was the moment where I was like, I need to create something. So I went to somebody. I'm giving you way more information you probably care about.
No, I care about all this, but it's
I
really good.
went to my partner now. His name is Josiah Grimes. I have a meeting with him right after this podcast. Josiah and I now own 4 businesses together, but I said, I don't want to be a coach. I never want to be a coach, and I don't want to make money from coaching. I want to make money by doing so many effing deals with people across the country. And he's like, well, then who's going to make the money? I'm like, you are. You're going to make the money. You're going to run the whole back end. You're going to take this vision of all these notes I have, and you're going to make this happen so I can go and meet with these people and do what I love to do, which is be out in the field, showing them how to do it and spending time with people. And so Josiah, nobody even knows it really exists, but he's the one that manages our 51 team members that run the Sub2 community, 51 people it takes to run it. And because of this and the launch of Sub2, just last year, I get a call from Fidelity National Title, the largest title company, and they say, hey, just want to let you know that we are now identifying that a little over 11 of our nationwide transactions are being done by people that you've taught.
Wow.
They're the largest title company in the world. And they're saying 11 of their real estate investor transactions are coming just from us. And I'm like, that's insane. Then I look at how many deals are being done and how many lives are changing. Like it's the craziest thing, things I never thought were possible. A student last year, Hava Fetman, says, hey, Pace, just so you know, I haven't done a deal yet. She has now done deals since. But because of this community, it changed my relationship with everybody in my life. I now, just so you know, in the last 45 days, I've lost 41 pounds. I've even changed my relationship with food.
Wow.
And I started realizing this community is so much more than just creative finance. It's mindset, it's friendships, it's people are dating, people are getting married. It's just the craziest thing. And there were parts of that were part of my vision, but it's taken a life of its own, which is actually amazing. And last year, I personally bought $100 million in real estate just from people inside the community. So my vision of doing deals with people nationwide has come true, and it is hard work. I stress out about it all the time. The bigger it gets, the more I have to hire, the more I have to hire, the more training, the more this, the more I have to watch out. Then it got to a point I had no idea that people, the cooler the community you build, the more you'll be attacked from people that are trying to scam and steal from your community because they're like, oh, I'm going to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm going to come in there and act like I'm a giver. But really what they do is they'll come in and go, they'll pitch their hard money lending company. They'll pitch their other product, their skip tracing thing. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my partner, Josiah, is like, are you surprised? Like you built the most amazing thing in the world. Of course, people are going to come in and take advantage. So we work really hard on a daily basis, but I'm grateful I have a partner that runs all the back end. So I don't have to be involved in that. I just get to hang out with the community.
I
How is that for an 18-minute freaking answer?
No, I love it, and it was so much more than I thought because I never knew that it really came from a need of collaboration in a community, which when I first started, it was very new because this was like 2020. So this is exactly when you said at the end of 2019, you got the taco truck. So I guess I jumped in right when all this was coming into fruition. But one thing I've known from when I first started meeting people who are very vocal about saying, hey, I'm a Sub2 member, and they're very vocal about it for a reason. It's almost like it comes with a stamp of trust or authority. It's kind of like the blue check or verification. And obviously, virtually wholesaling, 100% of my business starting off was relying on people in a different market. So
Mhm.
I got backstabbed with people on Bigger Pockets and Facebook groups, people stealing deals, all these different things. And over time, meeting someone that says, hey, I'm in Sub2, for me, it's been a stamp of, okay, this is someone I can give them the address, they can go get pictures, I can trust that they're not gonna go behind my back. And that to me is the hardest and best thing to come out of a community is that stamp of trust. So I did want to take a moment to shout out a couple of those people because I know they're
Do
very,
it.
very vocal about it. So Daryl, of course, Creighton, Mike Gomez, Jonah.
Daryl Ellison, Creighton was one of the first people that ever joined. I love Creighton. I actually went up and visited him in Washington on the very first Zoom I ever did, Toddy. Creighton was there. The first Zoom I ever did, it was June of 2020. Creighton's there. He was in the first 30 people that joined Sub2. He's still, here we are 4 years later, still doing a mindset Zoom, still helping people out. Creighton Bertrand is amazing. Daryl Ellison is who you're talking about. Who else you got?
Yep. Mike Gomez, Jonah, Marlon, Tristan
Wow.
Trenberth. And then I just met Nija and Kamal in Kansas City a few weeks ago, and they have been, I'm talking about since I first met them, just there for me. Hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you want us to go look at that property? Have you talked to any more buyers? Like just so giving and so collaborative. And there's that sense of like I can trust them. It's almost like instant family. I think that is so hard to come across in an industry so full of people looking to take advantage all the time. And I don't know how you did it, but I do want to ask with having such a trustworthy brand, because that is to me, when someone says I'm in Sub2, it's like I can trust you. Can you
Yeah.
give us a story? Because I know for me and everybody else in real estate, there's so many times where we don't know if we can trust somebody or not, partnering, going into business, lending, doing deals together without naming names or anything. Can you give us a story about a hard decision that you had to come to protect the brand Sub2 and yourself and the integrity behind it all?
Oh my gosh, bro. I could go on for hours about this. I've written checks, sizable six-figure checks to solve problems for people. Here's a really great story. We have a student, her name is Paige. This is back in 2021. So about a year after we launched Sub2. And Paige she was a nurse 3 or 4 days a week. She was a single mom of her son. She's still alive. She's still in the community, but she was working as a nurse at the time. She comes into Sub2, and at that time, I was doing a lot of lease options in my business 4 years ago. I'm not doing many of them now. I'm in a different phase. So, like, what's interesting about our Sub2 community is the more I talk about a thing, the more people do that thing. And so I was
Hmm.
doing a lot of lease options. Paige comes in, gets her first 4 deals, gets to a point where her lease options are paying her as much money as her job was as a nurse. She
Nice.
quits her job as a nurse. Okay. She then is like, all right, I've saved beyond like all my cash flow paying my bills. I now have saved $7,500 in cash. I'm now going to start doing some fix and flips on the side. I'm going to open another door of revenue to my business. So she goes into the Facebook group, Sub2 Facebook group. This is before I had the Sub2 20. I have 22 rules in Sub2. This is where this came from, right? So I didn't have these rules at the time. I just was like, here we are. The more I give, the more giving everybody else becomes. The more I talk about being collaborative, the more collaborative people are. The more I slap people on the wrist for doing the wrong things, the more people behave properly. The more I take people out of the community that are trying to pitch or sell a product, the less people do it. So there's all of those things, hundreds and hundreds of those things going on. But what happens is Paige goes in the Facebook group. She goes, I need a lender to help me out on this flip. I've got some money, but I need a lender that does hard money loans. One of our new students, okay, new student comes in and she sees the post and she goes, hey, I saw somebody post a link in Pace's free Facebook group for this other hard money lender. So she brings that link in, puts it underneath Paige and goes, I don't know if they're any good or not, but here's maybe a resource. So it's interesting. Like even the culture is even the newbies have the ability to provide value, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem. That student had never verified that that was a real lender. It turns out to be like a Somalian scam.
Yeah.
And the website looks so legit. They get on the phone with Paige. They go, yeah, no problem. Wire us your $7,500. They found out exactly how much she had and they took her $7,500, right? Single mom, just barely got to this moment of like a breath she could actually breathe with a little bit of like a little bit more cash. And I personally wrote a check to Paige for $7,500. That was the smallest check I've ever written. The largest check I've ever written was $400,000 because there was something that happened to the community that I was like, I'm covering that cost. I'm going to make sure that that's fixed because
Wow.
I didn't have a rule and a regulation in place. I have probably personally written checks over $1 million in the last 4 years to protect people inside the community. And it's stuff like that. It's like, I didn't have a rule. I didn't have a process. So I take responsibility for that. And I go, I could blame that new student for being an idiot, but you know what? She was just trying to be helpful. So I actually brought both of them on the Zoom. I announced it to the Sub2 community. I go, we now have 22 rules. And rule number 1 is do not promote a product, a service, of this unless you have personally used it yourself. If you promote it and you don't back it up, you are going to be kicked out of this community and you will be required to pay the $7,500 if somebody like Paige loses money like that. And I had to start putting my foot down and drawing a line in the sand. Like, these are the things that are not okay. And it's been a lot of work. In fact, I have 3 people on my team that all they do is compliance and watch the posts and make sure that everything in the community is at the highest standard possible. Doesn't mean we don't have stupid things that happen from time to time, but it's 99% of the people that are in the community understand the culture, the vibe, and the energy. I had to change a lot of things too, where I stopped calling my weekly Zoom. Now we do 39 Zooms a week inside of Sub2.
Whoa.
Daryl has ran a lot of them, 39 a week.
That's crazy.
There's not an hour during the day, Monday through Saturday, that you cannot get live help inside of Sub2.
Wow.
14 hours a day. 14 hours a day. There's on average 5 to 7 Zooms every day that you can get a variety of things, all this stuff.
That's crazy.
But it's crazy. But in my Zoom, I do 2, sometimes 3. Like this week, I'll do 4 Zooms inside of Sub2, but it's topics I want to talk about and whatever else, and I'll share stories and whatever else. But I used to call it my Q&A, like, hey, it's the Sub2 Q&A. Then I realized the Q&A that we were running was really not much of a Q&A because, we now have years of stuff in the vault. We have all these people that are helping each other. Like, you join Sub2, the chances of you doing a deal with me are probably 1%. The chances of you doing a deal with other community members is 100%. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to do deals with other people. And you've probably done 100 deals with community members, right?
A lot.
And you'll continue to do. You'll do another 100 deals over the next couple of years. I changed the name of my Zoom to Sub2 Family Night because I realized, like, most of the thing we're doing is just hanging out as a family 4 hours every single week. And it just expands that culture of like, hey, we're a family. And I didn't do that as like a psychological intention. I just did that because I realized the Zoom wasn't much of a Q&A anymore. Everybody had the answers. They were just coming in to getting to know each other in the side chat. And hey, I need money from you. Hey, I need a deal. I got a this, I got a that. And it just became a family. This was about 2 years ago. And now it's like, no, that's my Sub2 family. 1, we stand up for each other. 2, if somebody does snake you, you tell me, and that person's out. We have no excuses, no negativity at all is allowed in our community. I will kick your ass out for complaining about what you ate for lunch. Like, I don't want to hear it, So yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of energy. And a lot of people that look at me in the industry, the other coaches are like, you are ruining the industry. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like I'm raising the bar. And they're like, nobody can raise to that level of the bar. And if that's the new bar, then everybody should just quit. I'm like, well, that wasn't my intention. My intention was to create a place that I naturally want to hang out, right? Like, I have a coach. I paid him $55,000 this year and I'm kicked out after a year. It's very obvious that he's just a coach. He doesn't want to spend time there. He does a 1-hour Zoom a week. Guess what he's doing? At minute 59, he's already like, I'm out. See you guys. Have a good night. Like, he ends 99% of his Zooms a minute before he's supposed to. Like, they're counting down the time and they look at it as a service, a product. I don't. I look at it as, I love my people. I want to be around with them. I've partnered with a lot of them. I've hired them in my business. I'm putting them on stages. I'm putting them on podcasts. I'm building them up because I feel like our community should be running the entire industry because we are the only community that has the standard of the go-giving and the collaboration that we're talking about.
And the basic principles and values on like ethical things, I think, is super important. I think when it comes to money, everybody's ethics kind of sway. And I think a lot of your morals and ethics come from the hours of interviews I've watched, of you from a religious and spiritual background to where, you answer to something higher than money. So I feel like all of this is backed by a bigger responsibility to the world than, making money to take care of your family. And I think that's the rapport and trust that gets translated through Sub2
Yeah.
that I haven't seen in any other real estate.
Check this out. This is a really great story. Okay. So I get an email. I'm going to read it to you. John Johnson sends me this email, and I actually put a screenshot of this in the community. This just happened a couple of weeks ago, January 7th. He says, Pace, I pray this message finds you well. I'm writing this with a heavy heart and a humble spirit, seeking your understanding and forgiveness. In 2021, I made a selfish mistake in my dealings with Alex Salazar, another Sub2 student, a fellow Sub2 student in the Sub2 group. In a moment of weakness and greed, I betrayed his trust and I took money from him in a deal that we worked on together.
Wow.
This was not only against my personal values, but also against the principles from the Sub2 community. I am not only a believer of such and such religion, but I am also a member of the Sub2 community, and this is absolutely wrong. Now, he got kicked out of the community, okay?
At that time back then.
Alex, yeah, at that time back then, Alex sent an email to the support team and said, hey, this guy screwed me. Like, this is not what we stand for here. Here's the proof. He took money from me, and he had the proof. He had a contract. The guy worked around him. And he said, I consider Alex not just a friend, but as dear to me as a brother. However, my actions did not reflect this sentiment. I foolishly let greed cloud my judgment, revealing a side of me that I am not proud of. In the wake of my action, I have been reflecting deeply, turning to the word of God and guidance and strength. I strongly believe that when we are wrong, one of his children, we invite challenges into our life. True to this, my family has faced significant financial struggles and as a result of my selfish actions. Anyway, he goes on, this is a long email. He goes on to say, the second I was pulled from the Sub2 community, it was like his whole entire spirit was extracted from his body. And he realized that the old way he was doing business was not allowed in the Sub2 community. And he then saw the community continue to rise and continue to help each other and continue to start getting on stages and podcasts. Like, look at you, starting your podcast. Like, our community will run this entire industry. Mark my words. And he went to Alex and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He paid Alex the money back plus interest. And Alex called the community, the support, and they said, this guy apologized to me and I think you should bring him back into the community. So we did. And I think that it's not just about having a standard of not allowing people to do this, but I think it's a standard of allowing for forgiveness and growth and allowing us all to grow up as individuals. I'm growing up inside the Sub2 community. I don't know all the answers. I do know that I need the Sub2 community to allow me to make mistakes. And that is the ecosphere that I tried to create from the very, very beginning.
And what a beautiful way to run it. It's collaborative, it's growing, it's still evolving, as are you, as are humans in general, as our nature.
Mhm.
So that's so beautiful. And I love that. I love that. That's a full circle. And now he's
Mhm.
forgiven and he's back. And I think that ties right back to that core foundation of your spirituality. That is amazing. So thanks for creating this, because it has, in my opinion, and I, not to say any other community is bad or anything, but it has given that stamp of approval. And I'm glad that you are taking those measures. You're really walking the walk. And for anyone who has, because like you said, when you grow something so big, people are going to say negative things. The fact that you put your own money up to cover other people's mistakes, that says more than enough. And obviously some of those dangers people are getting into because they don't know, and sometimes they do know but they just don't do their own vetting enough thoroughly
Yeah.
for themselves, and they kind of, it's easier to pass up the blame, like, well, I heard he did it and it worked for him, so I'm just going to try it. But we all have the responsibility when you invest in something. You can lose money and you have to, vet
Yeah.
and protect yourself.
There was a story happened a couple of months ago. This is an interesting story. 2 months ago, I'm on Sub2 family night, right? We get 500 to 800 students come in and hang out with me for 4 or 5 hours. I did it last night, stayed up till like 10 o'clock at night. And my wife was like, hey, you haven't eaten anything all day. I'm like, yeah, because I'm hanging out with the community. This is I just get obsessed with it. But a couple of months ago, a girl named Tiffany comes in. She's crying. Like, Toddy, she's crying. I go to her and I go, hey, Tiffany, what's up? What do you got for me today? She's crying. She's bawling. I go, hey, I've never met you before. Where you been? I haven't seen you. She's like, I've been in the community for 6 months. I'm like, you've been in the community for 6 months and I've never seen you? Like, how dare you? What the heck is your problem? And I always tell people, like, check in, even if you've been in the community for 3 or 4 years, like, check in once a month and do a Sub2 family night and just come in and you'll get private money lenders. Like, make sure your name is known. Like, I see Daryl, I see other people that come in. Tristan Trenberth will come in. Tristan Trenberth, by the way, that's a whole nother story. I bought his first Sub2 deal I had to go on the appointment with him and walk through the contract with him because he had this paradigm that he could never do a deal. He had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to other mentorships, and nobody had ever forced this man to get a deal done. So I finally was like, Tristan was complaining one day, 3 or 4 months into the community launching, like, I'll never get a deal. I go, stop being a bitch, take me on an appointment. So he took me on an appointment, a foreclosure, and I go, watch me do this deal. I do the deal for him. I get the seller signed up, do all the things. I end up buying the deal. It's still in my portfolio here. Here we are 4 years later, it's still in my portfolio today as an Airbnb. He made $10,000 on it. And then he goes, oh my gosh, you like broke this paradigm. This is unbelievable. And I'm like, I broke the paradigm for you so you could go help another 100 people do the same thing. That is your job. That is your mission. Don't take this as like, I gave this to you as a gift. This is a torch. You have to now pass the torch to 100 other people. Don't be it, anyway, that's always been the culture, the spirit.
Well, that's
So
how I
when
met
Tiffany,
him. He literally saw a thing I had posted. I didn't meet him through Sub2. I met him on a Facebook group. He saw something I'd posted and was like, that might be a little wrong. Let me get on a Zoom. And he did an hour-and-a-half Zoom teaching me about the creative structure and about private money. And then did a second Zoom teaching everyone on my social media on how to raise private money. Crazy.
yep. Yeah. So he could not figure it out. He couldn't figure it out. I finally was like, stop complaining. Now, what's cool about Tristan is once he got it,
Yeah.
and he even came to the community. He's like, I'm going through I had a divorce situation. I need a new house. And the community, this is what I said. I go, where do you want to own a house? And he goes, I want to own a house in Chandler. So I go, all right, I pull a list from a Chandler list of like Sub2 opportunities, and the whole community calls on his behalf
Wow.
and they help find him his house that he currently
What?
lives in today. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could go on thousands and thousands of
It's
stories. Like
amazing.
everybody you named today, I could give you 5 or 6 stories. What's up, babe? Can I mute myself real quick? What do you mean? Oh, hold
Go
on,
for it.
Toddy.
Go
Hold
ahead.
on.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
Sorry, baby stuff. So anyway, so Tiffany comes into the Zoom and she's crying, and I go, I haven't seen you. What's going on? And she's like, I need help. I'm in a bad situation. And I go, all right, tell me. She goes, I bought a deal from another Sub2 student. I quit my job to go and do the renovation on the property because I couldn't find any help. And I'm like, you couldn't find help? She's like, well, it's in a town that like nobody lives in. And I was like, what's the town? She tells me such and such, Florida. 8 people on the side chat are like, I live there, Tiffany. I could have helped you. And I'm like, Tiffany, this is the problem, is that you treated this community like a mentorship or a course. It's neither. Like, this is a place where there's people in every city that can help you and bridge the gap for you. And I go, I will buy that deal off your hands. It's a horrible deal, by the way. She's now sunk in the deal for $40,000. So this literally happened 2 months ago. And I cut a check for 40 grand to get her replenished. And I use this as a lesson. She quit her job. I go, why would you quit your job? Keep your day job and invest on the side. What are you doing? Like, she goes, well, I saw this thing on YouTube. I'm like, stop. The second you join this community, stop paying attention to YouTube. Even my YouTube. My YouTube is for entertainment, not for education. So
Ooh,
she then goes, well, she's crying and sobbing and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, okay, so you're going to buy this deal for me? I go, yeah, as long as I can do a whole like warning video to people in this community to not treat this like a course, to not treat this like a mentorship, treat it like a community where people will help you. So here's what happens. I buy the deal, and 2 of the guys that live in that local area, they go and finish the renovation for me. And I've already got it rented out. And she's just like, I quit my job and moved halfway across the country because I just didn't come in and use the resources from the community. I just went to the course and thought that the course was going to answer all my questions. I'm like, the course is the appetizer. It's just to get you warmed up with terminology. The community is what you really need. Somebody like a Tristan Trenberth getting on a Zoom with you. And that's what happens all day long in our community, is that people are just doing Zooms with each other and helping each other out, because that's the spirit, the culture, and everything that we believe in. So I look at Tiffany, I wrote a check for 40 grand. I don't love that I bought the deal, but it was a great lesson for people to go, if you treat this like a course and a mentorship, this is what happens. If you treat it like a community, this is what happens. And so she came back in. I said, I'll do this for you as long as you promise that I see you every single family night, every single Tuesday for the next 3 months. She's like, that's it? That's all I have to do? I go, yeah, it's what you should have freaking done in the first place. So she comes in, and within a month, she has another deal with a private money lender and a contractor that all came from Sub2 doing a deal. And she has a job again. So she now has income coming in, and she's doing the deal. And she's like, I should have done this from the beginning. I'm like, well, now I have a story that I can force everybody to watch at the beginning of the course that says, beware of the Tiffany mindset, that you just come in here and you're learning. Oh, I'm getting contracts. Great. Yeah, we update our contracts every 90 days. That's amazing. Yeah, the course is good, but really it's the culture of what I needed when I was driving back from Colorado that one day, that I'm like, if you miss out on what the vision was, then you might as well just go on YouTube or go to ChatGPT if you're just looking for information.
I have to say that was so, so good for so many reasons. And you also answered my next question partly with that answer. So you hit on so many things right there. The income is important. Don't just give up your income, right? But
Yeah, silly.
there's
Don't quit your job. Invest it on the side.
invested on the side. And there's all these, dangers, risks, scares. We can acknowledge that in real estate there is that. But you are clearly a high income earner. Before you were doing this, when you had your construction company, you were a high income earner. What happened, making payroll, like you shut the business down. But before all of that, you were a high income earner. So with your portfolio, obviously you're going to have significant debt when you're buying things Sub2. Your high income is going to mitigate a lot of that risk that comes with
Yeah.
having a lot of leverage, right? But a
Yeah,
lot of
I don't
people
think anybody should quit their job for a while. Like, you should have a day job. I mean, if you like live in your mom's basement and you don't need bills, like that's a different story. If you
right.
are in college and you have a college loan and you want to do this, whatever, like it's different. But 99% of people should not quit their day job. And look at Elena Tang, good example. Elena Tang joined Sub2. She's like, well, I don't want to make calls to sellers. I'm like, Elena, be a buyer. She's like, well, I don't have money. I'm like, Elena, you don't need, the deals can come to you from a Sub2 students. The private money lenders can be Sub2 students. You have everything you need in here. So in 24 months, 2 years, her and her husband, Kirk, buy 26 rentals, all Sub2, all from people that brought her the deals and all from people who funded the deal. She's like, I literally have been working she's a therapist. So she's like, I did not quit my job until I got 26 rentals. Now I can quit my job. I'm like, there's the recipe.
I love
The
that.
problem is they get so excited about, I'm just going to quit my job tomorrow. I was like, no, 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 no. This is a long game. Like I had another student that came in and he's like, this is so funny, Toddy. You'll recognize this with a lot of people in your audience. He comes into a Sub2 family night. He's 3 months into Sub2. He's like, Pace, I'm really frustrated with my growth. I've only done one deal. And I'm like, okay, well, you're 3 months in, bro. You're learning like thousands of things you didn't know before, and you're failing and you're making mistakes and whatever else. And I go, let me ask you a question. What do you do for a living? He tells me. I go, how much you make? Makes 180 grand. How much schooling did you have to go through to make that 180,000? His answer was 6 years. I go, okay, so you went to school for 6 years and you started at a job for $180,000. That's impressive. He's like, oh, no, no, no. I went to school for 6 years. I then got hired for 90 grand. Okay, great. So you're making 180 today. How long did that take to go from 90 to 180 a year? He says, another 6 years. Okay. So you were willing to go and pay money to go to college for 6 years to then wait for 6 more years to get a raise just to get to a point where you're making $180,000. But you're frustrated that you did your first deal in 90 days and that wasn't enough progress for you. Like, let's compare this to what the regular world is, bro. Your expectations are absolutely out of whack. And people they forget that. They forget that the path that they were on prior to where they are today took them 10 years. Took me 7 years for me to get my first deal. 7.
Wow.
I mean, 99% of the problem was all mindset. I truly didn't think it was possible for me. And it wasn't until somebody kind of like Tristan, like break you down into Zoom and walk you through a thing to help you restructure a thing, that finally I got my first deal because of somebody else. And I look at the people who have high income. I go, first off, why would you wholesale if you have high income? Keep your job, buy rentals on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And wholesaling actually is a job, which is an amazing job. I was a wholesaler primarily for 4 straight years. I love wholesale. But if you have a job, like we have a student named Yatung, and Yatung goes, Pace, I just don't feel like I should be calling sellers. And it doesn't resonate with me. I'm like, well, what do you do for a living? She's like, I'm a programmer. Great. How often do you work? She goes, 3 days a week. I go, okay, so you work 3 days a week, got plenty of time to like do other things. How much are you making as a programmer? She goes, 300,000 a year.
Wow.
And I'm like, and do you hate your job? She goes, no, I love my job. And I'm like, so why would you convince yourself that you should be quitting to go wholesale? Like she goes, because I saw a YouTube video or this. I'm like, no, 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 no. You are a buyer. That's all you should be doing. You should just be buying properties from other people that are wholesaling in the Sub2 community, or people that are fixing and flipping in the Sub2 community. Get deals from them. And so her and her husband, Justin, went and did 15 deals in the next 6 months from other people. And she's like, we're done. In 6 months time, I got my whole goal of my rental portfolio, and it all came from people in the community. I'm like, so for the people that are out there, like, I'm going to quit my job to focus on this, guys, there's very few people that should be doing that. Very, very few people.
That's really, really good advice. And on the flip side, how do you think that, you know, obviously it's social media. Social media makes everyone feel like you should be an entrepreneur, you shouldn't have a job. But on the flip side, there's a lot of people that jump into real estate with unrealistic expectations that they are going to make 100 grand their first month, or they're going to do so many sub 2 deals and they start locking everything up. How would you suggest that person that was starting where you were starting, when you're starting all over with nothing, rebuilding their portfolio, what's a smart way to do that without over leveraging? Would it be wholesaling some so you still have cash coming in?
Yeah. There's a couple of ways to do it. This is the beautiful thing about creative finance, is that I can be the buyer. I can buy a Sub2 deal, and I can raise money from a private money lender and pay myself $10,000, $20,000. This is how I actually started buying and holding.
Mm.
The first 5 deals. So right back in 2018, when I started rebuilding my portfolio, I go, all right, I don't have any cash. And I also don't want to pay any private money lenders a monthly fee. So what I did is I went and I got the deals under contract. I went to private money partners that I met. The community didn't exist at the time. So I was going to meetups and I was just doing it the old fashioned way. I think the best way to raise money is just be a Sub2 student. You raise money from people inside the community, but which is where all my money comes from today. When I would go raise $1 million or $2 million, I just raise it inside the community. But what I did is I went to meetups and I said, all right, hey, I've got a deal. Will you be my 50-50 partner? You bring the money, I bring the deal. Okay. And these people were like, yeah, I don't have to find the deal. I get 50%. I'm like, yep. So they would bring the cost to get into the deal, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, but I would add 10, 15, or 20 grand for me finding the deal. And I would pay myself a fee for putting
Mhm.
the thing together. So that nobody was doing that 5, 6 years ago. Like that was a thing I started doing. I go, that's how I'm going to build my portfolio also while not hemorrhaging cash. Right. So I was making just as much money on putting houses in my portfolio as I was actually wholesaling my other deals at 10, 15, $20,000. I'm like, I can just buy myself into the deal. I don't actually have to pay interest on that money. They're getting 50% of the deal. Why am I not paying myself?
Yeah.
Right. And I did that for my first 5 buy and holds when I was starting my portfolio from scratch. I did that structure. Then I just started I then got to a point where my cash flow could pay off my private money lenders. So I then started doing private money lenders. Still same thing. I pay myself 10,000 bucks, but they only got an interest payment. The cash flow from my first 5 properties started paying down my next private money lenders, and so on and so forth. So now what I do still to this day, 2024, 25, I'll go buy 20 deals. I'll raise $1 million. Then next month, guess what I do? All the other properties I have, 2,000 properties I have, the cash flow from them will pay off my private money lenders on the properties I bought this month. And so it's a compound effect, and people just don't have the patience. So if you really are like, I want to buy, but I don't have the cash, and I also want some cash infusions in my business, doing it with a private money partner that comes in and pays you a fee on top of the cost to cover everything, that's a really great way to do it. But wholesaling is fun. The problem with wholesaling for a lot of people is they don't realize that wholesaling does not have a window where it's like, okay, I'm going to wholesale for an hour today and I'm done. It's like, there's
That's a
situations, there's sellers
fact.
and foreclosures, probate, all this stuff. If you're at your 9 to 5 job and you can't allocate for 2 or 3 hours a day in your wholesale business and you're trying to do it in an hour, there's too much craziness that goes on some of these deals. There's always every deal, 100% of deals you and I have both touched. There's always something that there's a snag at 11 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or sometimes 10 o'clock at night that you get an email and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to handle this right now. So you have to allocate a little bit more time to wholesaling than I think most people recognize, just because of the craziness, not because it really takes that much time. It's just that you can't go, I'm not available to do anything except for this 1 hour a day. That's not how it works. So for the people that are like, I want to keep my day job and I want to wholesale, I would just make sure that you figure out how to manage some of the wholesaling shenanigans that happen throughout the day from your day job, and keep your day job for a year, keep your day job for 2 years. If you're somebody like Yatang making $300,000 a year, or Ingrid Hernandez in our community, she's a big leader. She's been in Sub2 for over 3 years. She made $500,000 last year in her real estate business, her doing
Nice.
Sub2 seller finance and fix and flip with other students. And she's like, should I quit my job? And you know what my answer was? No.
Wow.
Is your passive income making more money than your active income? And does it give you insurance? She says no. And I go, then the answer is no. Don't quit your job.
I love that. That is perfect. And I'm so grateful for all the time you've given us. We have one little last section, and it's kind of like
Okay.
best tips. So I'm going to throw things out from the top of your head. Give us your best tip that you can think of raising money for real estate.
Join Sub2. But if you want to raise money for real estate, here's the greatest tip. And I've done this training in my raising private capital training inside of Sub2, where I show people how to do this. But the answer is private money lenders, private money partners, lenders, every one of them, 100% of the time, records a note against the property when they lend to another borrower.
Yes.
That note is public record. So all you have to do is go to county recorder's office and say, hey, can I get every loan that has been put in second, third, or fourth position on every piece of real estate in the county? And they will give you the documents of every lender that has ever loaned money on whatever time period. You can go, the last 30 days, I want a copy of every note, every promissory note that a lender has given. You have the
Wow.
name of the lender, you have the terms, how much money, the interest rate, the payment amount, the length of time. Everything's already on there. And so I taught the Sub2 students how to do this. And Jeremy Davis out of Utah, I do a Zoom about this again, like 2 years ago. And when I tell him about it, he goes, oh my gosh, please don't ever tell anybody about this. This is the greatest tip ever. He went from going, I can't raise 100 grand to now he's like, I could raise 100 grand a day, because these are people I already know are lending money. And they're lending money in second position and third position. They're already doing this. I already know their interest rate. I already know everything about them and what kind of deals they're lending on. So I don't have to be in the dark of like, go to a meetup and ask people for private money. No, dude, go to public record and find the people that are already doing it.
Nuts. I had no idea that was a thing. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad I asked. Thank you. Best tips for getting someone to go on a date with you.
Okay. Go on a date with you. Great question. I have never had a problem in that category. I had buddies. There's times where like you have a hard time talking to a girl because like she's intimidating or whatever. What my tactic always was is like take one of her friends on a date and like get her attention that way and like spoil that girl on the date and make her feel special. So she goes back and then she goes and tells her friend like, oh my gosh, Pace treated me like gold, whatever. So if I ever wanted to get somebody's attention without being thirsty or looking too thirsty, that's the way I did it. If I just want to go on a date with somebody, I've been out of the dating scene for 16 years. Okay, here's the best answer, and nobody wants this answer. Do things in your daily life that anybody would be excited about hanging out with you on a random day. And what happens is you attract people to you. That's what I've always done. You know how I met my wife? My wife was watching me on Facebook. She was a friend of a friend. So it was like close friends on Facebook 15, 16 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm going to New York. I'm doing this. I'm going here. I wasn't in real estate. I was a single dude in construction, but I was posting fun things I was doing every day, restaurants I was trying out, little taco joints, but I was posting and talking about it. And when she found out I was single, she messaged me, and she's an introvert. So she She's like, "I would have never done that, but you like convinced me that I needed to be a part of your world through all your posting and talking about what you were doing." So I would say create an inviting world, like do cool shit and people will just reach out to you. If you're a dude or a girl, like do cool shit. People are going to be attracted to just wanting to hang out with you.
Love that. Best answer for that question. Best tip to make your first million in real estate.
First million in real estate. Okay. The way I made my first million in real estate was actually not wholesaling and it wasn't fixing and flipping. Wholesaling is good transactional money. I don't know anybody that's become a millionaire from just wholesaling. That's a hard thing for people to realize because I know a lot of people have made millions of dollars, but
Mhm.
they're not millionaires. And a millionaire is someone who has a net worth of $1 million, either cash or wealth holding in a property. My first actual net worth of $1 million in real estate came from me making money in wholesale and buying rentals, and the rentals go up in value. And in like literally, if you think about this, you buy 5 rentals and you wait a couple of years, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like it's as simple as that. And very quickly, you guys will realize that $1 million ain't shit. Okay. So I want to be worth 10 million. Okay. Well, that's pretty simple too. Just do that 10 times. You buy 5 properties, you wait a couple of years, you're going to have $1 million net worth. If you bought 50 properties, you wait a couple of years, you're going to be worth 10 million bucks. So like my net worth goes like in COVID era. I'll give you a good example. Just COVID, like 2020, my net worth went up like $9 million just because properties that were sitting there. There's no way I'm making $9 million as a wholesaler. And
Right.
so wholesaling is a great way to make money and like live the life of your dreams and have a lot of freedom and all of those types of things. But becoming a millionaire, I don't know a legitimate wholesaler that's like, I have $1 million sitting in my bank account because I was a wholesaler. I don't know one. So wholesaling is a great way to get into it, but I would say you have to acquire real estate because otherwise, here's why. Why would wholesalers that make millions of dollars not have $1 million net worth? It's
Right.
because they find a place to spend the money on cars, this, that, whatever, vacations, stuff like that. And they never actually accumulate wealth. They're just spending it on more, maybe marketing or expanding or this, that, and the other. So if you're in real estate, buy 5 rentals, wait a couple of years, you're a millionaire.
Perfect. Best tip to have, and this is a good one for you because I know I've heard this, but best tip to have a healthy business and personal life. I don't want to use the word balance, but a healthy business and personal life
A healthy business and personal life.
in
Marry
harmony.
somebody. Yeah, marry somebody who is part of your vision. Don't marry somebody that is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't marry somebody who wants you to be an employee. I had a wife before, my current wife,
Oh wow, I didn't
back
know
when I
that.
was 24 years old. I was married for 5 years, and that woman wanted me to have a job more than anything in the world. She just wanted stability and a job. And I'm like, honey, you married the wrong guy, like straight up. And we would fight about me having dreams and visions and all this kind of stuff. My wife now is like, what are you doing today? What are you accomplishing today? What, like she doesn't, my wife isn't out there slaying dragons. My wife is taking care of the castle, but she's expressing to me, you need to go out and slay those dragons. And I don't want to be married to you in a year from now. I want to be married to a new version of you next year. And so that's number one. Have somebody who's in sync and understands how to make it all work. Most men that I talk to that are struggling with that, they married a woman that doesn't understand that. Does that mean it's the end for them? No. It just means now you have to provide so many results in your wholesaling business, in your fix and flip business, in your buy and hold business, in your after hours, the wee hours of the morning, the hours where nobody else is watching you, where it doesn't look like your wife doesn't feel like you're stealing time away from the family.
Yeah.
You have to go and produce results by sleeping less and doing more. And one day you go, hey, sweetheart, just so you know, I've made $300,000 this year in my wholesale business. And now all of a sudden, guess what happens? You buy your wife, you take her from a minivan to an Escalade. Your wife is going to be like, damn, I'm behind this. So you got to provide results. And sometimes it means shutting your mouth and doing your job by just going out and making the money. On top of it, I work from home. I have 2 big offices, one with 200 employees, one with 100. I don't go to either one of them other than once a month. I work from home. So even in the middle of my day, if my wife needs something, she can come down and chat with me. I try and be around my kids 6, 7 hours a day, even though it's like 15 minutes here, half an hour here. Like even right after this, I have a meeting with Josiah. right after that meeting, I'm going to jump in the hot tubs with my girls. It's kind of like a daily routine. It'll be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's because I don't have to drive to work, from work, all that kind of stuff. I save 2 hours a day that I can just allocate with my family.
Super smart. Best tips on vetting potential business partners.
If somebody says they're a buyer, ask them their LLC, go to public record, county recorder's office, or maybe even tax assessor's website and type in their LLC and see if they've ever bought a property. What I found a lot of times is when I was getting screwed in wholesale, somebody would steal a deal from me or backstab me is because they said they were a buyer, but they were actually a co-wholesaler. Dude, I'm all about co-wholesaling. Like I've done deals where 7 people have made an assignment fee. I'm all about that. But people will lie to you and say, I'm the buyer when they're really not.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that's like number one. If we're wholesaling to somebody, we say, what's your LLC? We immediately look up their LLC and see if they've actually bought a property in the last couple of months. If they haven't, we're like, are you wholesaling this? And when they say no, I go, okay, well, we're going to write in the contract, you cannot wholesale this or even double close it. And then guess what happens? They stop communicating because that's what they intended to do. If they say, yeah, actually, I do have a buyer, I am going to make an assignment fee, I go, perfect, cool, thanks. Just keep us up to date on what happens with your buyer. So that's a big part of vetting and wholesale is I just make sure, like, if you say you're a buyer, you better have actually bought a property. And then same thing with lenders. I want to know if you've actually loaned on a deal before and if you're going to be a pain in the butt.
Mm.
Another thing is people will come to you and say, hey, I want to partner with you. Oh my gosh, this is where I made most of my mistakes in my 20s is I would partner with people because they showed like they had ambition, but they had no track history, nothing.
Exactly.
They'd never accomplished anything. They were at a job. If somebody only has ever had a 9-to-5 job and they come to you and go, I want to partner with you in your wholesale business, I'm going to tell you the biggest challenge you're going to run into is not getting deals. The biggest challenge is their mindset of time blocking and actually working. And like being an entrepreneur is a creation business. Being a 9-to-5er is a reaction business. You're just reacting all day long. And so you take that person that reacts all day long and you put them in an entrepreneur space, that person will melt down. So I would tell you, if you're going to partner with people, make sure that they actually have a track history.
I love that. That is perfect. Thank you so much. Do you have anything you want to leave everybody with before we head out?
Make sure you're subscribing to Toddy. Make sure you guys get on her podcast. This girl's doing a great job. She's collaborating with people. She's doing deals. She's amazing. I see her making moves. I'm proud of her. Subscribe to her. You guys don't follow me. I'm just an idiot that just drives around in a Prius. Follow Toddy. She put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this podcast. It's very obvious. You did a great job. I would make sure you guys subscribe and give her some love. Show her that you appreciate her by subscribing either to the podcast or to her YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, Pace. You have no idea how much this meant to me. And please, if I can ever do anything for you or your community or your family, friends in the future, let me know.
You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, see ya.